The chain snapped against the stone as Lira Vance hit the ground hard, her breath ripping out of her chest. "Please, wait, just listen." But the warriors were already stepping back. Rain soaked through her thin dress, clinging to her skin as mud swallowed her knees. Her wrists burned where the iron cuffs cut into her flesh, anchored to the ancient altar like she was nothing more than an offering. Not a daughter. Not even a wolf. Just a sacrifice. Her stepmother, Maris, didn't look at her twice. "Do not untie her," Maris ordered coldly. "The beast comes at night." Lyra's heart slammed. "Father." Darian stood behind the others, his face pale, his jaw tight. For 1 second, just one, his eyes flickered toward her. Then he looked away. And that hurt more than the chains. "You're really leaving me?" Lyra's voice cracked. "To die?" Silence. One of the warriors shifted uncomfortably. Another muttered, "It's for the pack." "For the pack?" Lira laughed weakly, tears mixing with rain. "Or for your fear?" Maris turned sharply. "Enough. This is mercy compared to what that creature would do if left unchecked." "Then fight it," Lira shouted. "You're all alphas and betas, fight it." No one moved. Because they had tried. And they had failed. That was the truth they didn't say out loud. So they chose her instead. Maris stepped closer, crouching just enough to meet Lyra's eyes. "You were born weak. Tonight, at least, you will be useful." Lira flinched like she'd been slapped. Then Maris stood and turned away. "Let's go." The forest swallowed them as they left. One by one, their footsteps faded. Until there was nothing. No voices. No light. Just Lira, and the storm. Her breathing became uneven. "No, no, no, no." The chains rattled as she pulled, panic rising, but they didn't budge. The wind held through the trees. And then, everything went quiet. Too quiet. Lira froze. A low growl rolled through the darkness. Not loud. Not rushed. But deep. Ancient. Something massive moved between the trees. Branches snapped under its weight. Her pulse thundered in her ears. "Please," she whispered, her body trembling uncontrollably. "I don't want to die." Two glowing silver eyes appeared in the dark. Locked on her. Watching. Waiting. The creature stepped forward. And Lyra's breath caught. It was enormous, larger than any wolf she had ever seen, its black fur matted with scars, its presence suffocating. Power radiated from it like a storm ready to break. This was no ordinary beast. This was death. It circled her slowly. Each step deliberate. Each breath heavy. Lira squeezed her eyes shut. This was it. This was how she died. But the attack never came. Instead, a snarl tore through the air. The beast lunged, not at her, but past her. A scream echoed from the trees. Another predator, smaller, feral, had been creeping closer. The massive wolf tore it apart in seconds. Blood stained the ground. Lira stared, frozen. The beast turned back to her. Their eyes met again. But this time, there was no hunger. No madness. Only something else. Something aware. "You," Lira whispered shakily. "You're not going to kill me, are you?" The wolf didn't move. Didn't growl. Didn't attack. It simply watched. As if waiting. As if choosing. Lira swallowed hard, her fear slowly mixing with confusion. Why? No answer. Only silence. The rain eased. Time passed, minutes, maybe hours, but the beast never left. And neither did she. Eventually, her strength gave out. Her body slumped against the chains. Guess, we're both trapped here, she muttered weakly. To her surprise, the wolf lay down a few feet away. Guarding her. Not hunting her. And for the first time since they left her, Lira didn't feel alone. Morning came slowly. Lira woke stiff, cold, and disoriented. For a second, she thought it had all been a nightmare. Until she saw him. Still there. Still watching. Her breath hitched. You stayed. The wolf rose to its feet. Walked closer. Lira tensed, but didn't pull away this time. It stopped just within reach. Close enough that she could see the scars etched into its body. Close enough to see the intelligence in its eyes. You understand me, don't you? She whispered. The wolf didn't blink. Didn't move. But something in its gaze shifted. Lira hesitated. Then slowly, carefully, she lifted her hand. The chain clinked softly. I'm not going to hurt you. Her fingers trembled as she reached out. The wolf lowered its head slightly, allowing it. Her breath caught as her hand touched its fur. Warm. Real. Alive. Not a monster. Not entirely. You're not what they said you were, she murmured. The wolf's eyes softened, just barely. And something deep inside Lyra's chest tightened. Because for the first time in her life, something powerful had chosen not to harm her. By midday, Lira managed to loosen one of the chains against a cracked edge of the altar. It took everything she had. But eventually, snap. The iron gave way. She gasped, pulling her hand free. You see that? She said breathlessly, glancing at the wolf. I'm not completely useless. The wolf huffed softly. Almost like a response. Lira blinked. Did you just? She shook her head, letting out a weak laugh. I must be losing my mind. But she kept talking anyway. Because silence was worse. I'm Lira, she said quietly. Since we're apparently not killing each other. The wolf watched her. Still. Steady. I don't have a pack anymore, she added after a moment. Not really. Her voice dropped. They left me. The words hurt more when spoken out loud. The wolf stepped closer again. This time, it nudged her arm gently with its nose. Lira froze. Then slowly, she exhaled. Yeah, she whispered. I know. It doesn't make sense to you either, does it? For a long moment, they stayed like that. Two outcasts. Bound by something neither of them understood. Then the wind shifted. And the wolf's head snapped toward the forest. Its body tensed instantly. Lira felt it too. Something was coming. Voices. Distant, but getting closer. Her heart dropped. No. The wolf growled low. Protective. Dangerous. And Lira realized. They weren't alone anymore. Lyra's fingers tightened around the broken chain as the voices grew louder. Boots crushed leaves. Metal clinked. Hunters. Her pulse spiked. They came back. The wolf stepped in front of her instantly, its massive body blocking her from view, every muscle coiled with lethal intent. No, wait, Lira whispered urgently, grabbing a fistful of its fur. If you attack them, they'll just send more. This won't end. The wolf didn't move. Its gaze remained fixed on the forest. Cold. Calculating. Then, spread out, a familiar voice barked. Lyra's stomach twisted. Cale Draven. Of course they'd send him. He stepped into the clearing first, sword already drawn, eyes scanning, and then locking onto her. For a split second, shock flickered across his face. You're alive. Lyra forced herself to stand, even as her legs shook. Disappointed? His gaze shifted to the wolf. And everything about him changed. His stance sharpened. His grip tightened. That thing, he muttered. So it's true. It's not what you think, Lyra said quickly. Cale let out a short, humorless laugh. It's a monster, Lyra. That's exactly what it is. Behind him, the other warriors stepped forward, forming a loose circle. Weapons ready. The wolf growled, low and deadly. Lyra stepped in front of it. Every instinct screamed at her not to. But she didn't move. Don't, she said, her voice stronger now. He saved me. Cale's eyes snapped back to her. He hasn't killed you yet. That's not the same thing. He protected me. Lyra shot back. From other predators, from everything out here. And you think that makes it safe? Cale took a step closer. Move, Lyra. No. The word came out sharper than she expected. Even she was surprised. Cale's expression hardened. You don't understand what you're doing. I understand more than you think, she said, her chest rising and falling quickly. You all left me here to die. He didn't. Silence. The accusation hung heavy in the air. One of the warriors shifted uncomfortably. Cale's jaw tightened. That was the Alpha's decision. No, Lyra said, shaking her head. That was fear. Yours. Maris's. All of yours. Cale exhaled slowly, as if trying to hold on to patience that was already slipping. Step aside. This ends now. Behind her, the wolf's growl deepened. Lyra didn't move. If you want to kill him, she said quietly, you'll have to go through me. That did it. Cale's control snapped. Fine. He lunged. Everything exploded at once. The wolf moved faster than Lyra could see, 1 second behind her, the next tearing into the space between her and Cale. Steel clashed against claws. A warrior screamed. Another was thrown back like he weighed nothing. Fall back, someone shouted. Too late. The beast was unstoppable. Precise. Brutal. It didn't attack blindly, it targeted weapons, movements, threats. Like it knew exactly what it was doing. Like it had once fought like them. Lyra's heart pounded as she watched. This wasn't mindless violence. This was control. Cale stumbled back, blood dripping from his arm, his expression shaken. What is this thing? He breathed. The wolf stood over Lyra again, breathing heavily, eyes locked on every remaining threat. Lyra stepped forward slowly, placing her hand against its side. It's not a thing, she said firmly. And I'm not going back with you. Cale stared at her like he didn't recognize her anymore. You'd choose this, over your own pack? Lyra held his gaze. They stopped being my pack the moment they chained me to die. That landed hard. Cale looked away briefly, something conflicted flickering in his eyes. But it didn't last. Then you've made your choice, he said quietly. He signaled the others. Fall back. The warriors hesitated, but obeyed. One by one, they retreated into the forest. But before Cale disappeared, he looked at her one last time. This isn't over, Lira. Then he was gone. Silence returned. Heavy. Lira let out a breath she didn't realize she'd been holding. Her legs gave out, and she sank to the ground. That could have gone better, she muttered weakly. The wolf lowered its head, nudging her shoulder gently. I'm fine, she said, though her voice trembled. She looked up at him. Really looked this time. You fought like them, she whispered. Like a warrior, not a beast. The wolf didn't respond. But its eyes said enough. Lira swallowed. The journal. Her gaze drifted toward the ruins in the distance. King Alaric Thorn, she murmured. Betrayed. Cursed. Turned into something he wasn't. Slowly, she looked back at the wolf. Is that you? Silence. The wind stirred the leaves. The wolf didn't deny it. Didn't confirm it. But it didn't look away either. And that was answer enough. Lira let out a shaky breath. Okay, she whispered. Okay. She pushed herself to her feet, wincing slightly. Well. Your Majesty, she said with a faint, tired smile, looks like we both have a problem. The wolf blinked. And for a brief moment. It almost looked amused. They didn't stay. By nightfall, they were gone. Deeper into the forest. Far from the altar. Far from the pack. Lira walked beside him, slower, weaker, but determined. You know, she said after a while, this is probably the worst decision I've ever made. The wolf huffed softly. Hey, I'm being serious, she added. I left my pack, I'm traveling with a cursed king trapped in wolf form, and there are people who definitely want me dead now. Pause. Actually, yeah, this is the worst. The wolf glanced at her briefly. Lira smiled faintly. But it's also the first time I've ever chosen something for myself. That mattered. More than anything. The path ahead was uncertain. Dangerous. But it was hers. Days passed. The forest changed. Denser. Quieter. Stranger. And through it all, the wolf stayed with her. He hunted. Protected. Watched. And slowly, something shifted between them. Lira found herself talking more. Telling him things she had never told anyone. I used to think if I just worked harder, they'd see me, she admitted one night as they sat near a small fire. That I could earn my place. The wolf lay beside her, listening. But no matter what I did, I was still just an omega. Her voice softened. Disposable. The wolf lifted its head slightly. Lira glanced at him. Then shook her head. Not to you, though, right? Silence. But his gaze never left her. And that was enough. On the fifth night, everything changed. They reached a clearing unlike any other. The air felt different. Charged. Alive. What is this place? Lira whispered. The wolf slowed, cautious. At the center stood a small structure, ancient, hidden, surrounded by faint glowing symbols etched into the ground. Magic. Before Lira could react. Stop right there. A voice cut through the air. Sharp. Unyielding. A woman stepped into view, her presence commanding, her eyes glowing faintly with power. Another step, she warned, and you'll regret it. Lira froze. The wolf stepped slightly in front of her. Protective. The woman's gaze flicked between them. Then narrowed. Well, she murmured. That's unexpected. Lira swallowed. We're not here to cause trouble. The woman raised a brow. You brought a cursed king into my sanctuary. Trouble is already here. Lyra's heart skipped. You know who he is. The woman stepped closer, studying them carefully. I know exactly who he is, she said. The question is, do you? Lira hesitated. Then nodded. Yes. Silence stretched between them. Then the woman exhaled slowly. Then you also know, she said, her voice quieter now, that there is only one way to break what was done to him. Lyra's chest tightened. I was hoping you'd say there was another option. The woman's expression didn't change. There isn't. The wind picked up. The symbols around them flickered faintly. And for the first time since this began, Lira felt something deeper than fear. Destiny closing in. What do I have to do? She asked. The woman's gaze sharpened. Everything, she said. Lira didn't respond immediately. The word everything settled heavily in her chest, pressing against her ribs like a truth she wasn't ready to face. The woman watched her closely. My name is Elder Vale, she said at last, her voice calmer now. And you've walked into something far older than you understand. Lira swallowed. Then help me understand. Eldra's gaze flicked to the wolf standing beside her. The curse placed on him wasn't meant to be broken easily. It was crafted with betrayal, sealed with blood, and sustained by time. The wolf didn't move, but the air around him seemed to tighten. Eldra continued, for 20 years, he has lived between man and beast. Not fully one. Not fully the other. Lyra's chest ached at that. 20 years. Alone. Hunted. Forgotten. And the only way to undo it? Lira asked quietly. Eldra's eyes locked onto hers. A bond, she said. Not forced. Not claimed. Chosen. Lyra's breath hitched. A mate bond, Eldra added. Silence fell. The forest itself seemed to hold its breath. Lira let out a small, shaky laugh. You can't be serious. Eldra didn't blink. Do I look like I joke about curses? Lira shook her head, pacing once, twice, her thoughts spiraling. I'm an Omega, she said, almost to herself. He's a king. This doesn't make sense. Power doesn't care about rank, Eldra replied sharply. It cares about truth. Lira stopped. Turned back. And what if I say no? Eldra's expression didn't soften. Then he remains what he is. Until the curse consumes what little of him is left. Lyra's heart clenched. She looked at the wolf. Really looked. At the scars. At the exhaustion hidden beneath strength. At the quiet way he watched her, not with dominance, but with something gentler. Waiting. Always waiting. You knew, she whispered to him. Didn't you? The wolf didn't move. But his eyes didn't leave hers. And in them, she saw it. Hope. Careful. Fragile. Dangerous hope. Lira exhaled slowly, her hands trembling slightly at her sides. This bond, she said, turning back to Eldra. What does it involve? Eldra stepped closer. Choice, she said first. Then, more quietly. Trust. Vulnerability. And a connection strong enough to override the magic that binds him. Lyra's throat tightened. And if I'm not enough? Eldra's gaze softened, just a fraction. Then the magic will reject it, she said honestly. Not comforting. Not kind. Just truth. Lira nodded slowly. Then she laughed again, but this time, it broke. Of course it would come down to this, she murmured. For once in my life, something depends on me actually being enough. The wolf took a step forward. Close enough that she could feel his warmth again. Lira looked at him. You didn't choose me because I was strong, she said softly. Or powerful. Or important. Her voice dropped. You chose me anyway. The wolf's head lowered slightly. And that was all the answer she needed. Lira closed her eyes briefly. Then opened them again. Resolved. Tell me what to do. The moon rose slowly. Full. Bright. Unforgiving. Silver light spilled across the clearing, igniting the symbols carved into the earth. They pulsed faintly, reacting to something deeper than sight. Lira stood at the center, her heart racing. Eldra moved around her, placing small markings, whispering words under her breath, old words, powerful ones. Once this begins, Eldra said, you cannot hesitate. Lira nodded. I won't. The wolf stood at the edge of the circle. Still. Watching. Waiting. Lira turned to him. This is your last chance, she said quietly. If you don't want this, if you don't trust me, walk away. He didn't move. Didn't even blink. The bond had already begun forming long before this moment. This was just the final step. All right then, Lira whispered. She stepped forward. Into the light. The symbols flared. Energy surged through the air. Eldra's voice rose, stronger now, echoing with power. Two souls, one bound, one free, meet under moonlight to rewrite what was broken. Lyra's breath came faster. The wolf stepped into the circle. And the moment he did, the air changed. Shifted. Cracked with energy. Lira reached out, her hand shaking, but steady. I choose you, she said. Not because she had to. Not because she was told. But because she wanted to. The wolf moved closer. Slowly. Carefully. Until he stood right in front of her. Their eyes locked. And in that moment, he wasn't a beast. He was something more. Something waiting to be seen. Lira placed her hand against his chest. I choose you, she repeated. The world exploded. Light. Heat. Power ripped through the bond like a storm breaking loose. The wolf let out a deep, guttural sound, half growl, half something else. Pain. Transformation. His body tensed. Shook. Bones cracked. Shifted. Lira gasped but didn't pull away. Stay with me, she whispered urgently. Don't fight it, stay with me. The energy surged harder. Brighter. Then, he collapsed. The light vanished. Silence slammed into the clearing. Lira stumbled forward. No, no, no. Then she saw him. Not a wolf. A man. Lying still beneath the fading glow of the moon. Her breath caught. Slowly, cautiously, she stepped closer. Kneeling beside him. His chest rose. Fell. Alive. Human. Alaric, she whispered. His eyes opened. Sharp. Clear. Silver, but no longer wild. They found hers instantly. And held. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Then his voice, rough and used, but steady, broke the silence. You stayed. Lira let out a soft, breathless laugh. Yeah, she said, tears slipping down her cheeks. I did. He pushed himself up slowly, his movements careful, like he was relearning his own body. 20 years trapped in something else. 20 years, gone. His gaze never left her. You chose me, he said. Not as a question. As a realization. Lira nodded. I did. Something shifted in his expression then. Not power. Not dominance. Something deeper. Gratitude. Respect. Connection. And for the first time, they stood on equal ground. By dawn, they were already moving. Back. Toward the place that had once betrayed them both. You don't have to do this, Lira said as they walked. Alaric didn't slow. Yes, I do. His voice was calm. Certain. They stole more than my throne, he said. They stole truth. And that ends now. Lira watched him for a moment. Then nodded. Then I'm coming with you. He glanced at her. You already are. The pack didn't expect him. Didn't expect them. Shock rippled through the courtyard as they entered. Whispers. Fear. Disbelief. And at the center, Raiden Crow rose slowly from the alpha seat. His expression twisted. No, he breathed. Alaric stepped forward. Steady. Unshaken. It's over, he said. Raiden laughed, but it cracked. You think walking in here changes anything? It changes everything. The tension snapped. Then prove it, Raiden snarled. Ritual combat. A challenge. Ancient. Binding. Alaric didn't hesitate. I accept. The circle formed quickly. The air thick with anticipation. Lira stood at the edge, her heart pounding, but her gaze steady. This was it. The end. Or the beginning. The fight was brutal. Fast. Every strike carried years of anger, betrayal, survival. Raiden fought like a ruler desperate to keep power. Alaric fought like a king reclaiming what was his. And in the end, there was no contest. Raiden hit the ground hard. Defeated. Broken. The silence that followed was deafening. Finish it, someone whispered. But Alaric didn't. He stepped back. You're not worth the blood, he said coldly. Leave. And never return. Raiden stared at him. Stunned. Humiliated. Then slowly, he rose. And left. Just like that. Power shifted. Truth returned. And every eye turned. To Lira. The Omega who had been left to die. Now standing beside a king. Alaric reached for her hand. Pulled her forward. Bow, someone whispered. And this time, they did. Lira swallowed, her chest tight. This feels strange, she murmured. Alaric glanced at her. You'll get used to it. She huffed softly. I'm not sure I want to. He smiled, just slightly. You'll redefine it, then. Lira looked out at the pack. At the people who had abandoned her. Who now looked at her with something entirely different. Not pity. Not dismissal. Respect. And maybe, something like hope. She exhaled slowly. Then lifted her chin. Not as a sacrifice. Not as an Omega. But as something more. Something stronger. Something chosen. And as the sun rose over the pack, a new story began. If you made it this far, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment below. Would you have made the same choice as Lira?